Assassin's Creed Shadows is a game that stirred up the gaming landscape in a lot more ways than one in the past few weeks to the last few months. And I'd like to go ahead and just do a quick recap as to how exactly that was. So essentially, if you guys didn't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a game that's been really panned on for being culturally insensitive. Now, the reasoning behind this, obviously I had already showed pictures of this in my previous video about Ubisoft, the one-legged Torygate figurine, which is a one-legged Torygate that is very representative of the nuclear bombings that were dropped in Nagasaki. You also have insensitivity that a lot of people feel is to have a male character not be of Japanese culture when you're set in a feudal Japan, and they feel like they really kind of cherry-picked in order to be able to use Yasuke. This is also going to be the very first time that an Assassin's Creed game features a historical person as a protagonist. All the AC characters in the past have all been completely fictional. They're not real, but Yasuke actually did exist in real life. Now, whether or not he actually did do this work as a samurai or fight as a samurai, all that is up for grabs. But you know, Ubisoft has really been taking a lot of strange liberties with their game since AC Odyssey, really, but you could argue Origins and say that that's when it kind of all started deviating a little bit too much. But what they've released recently, is this going to be a sort of comeback for the AC Shadows that Ubisoft so desperately needs? Because Ubisoft right now is in a dangerous place, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, the company has been slaughtering almost every single one of their IPs from games like The Division, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and even other games that are smaller like The Crew. Ubisoft has just been on a one-man rampage, just annihilating all of them off the face of the earth and making them shadows of their former selves, right? All for the sake of what? A quick cash grab, in the sake of even Rayman getting an NFT game. But that's not what we're here for. This could be a step in the right direction for Ubisoft to kind of try and go ahead and say, maybe sidestep the criticism for Assassin's Creed Shadows long enough. So as you can see right here on screen, Ubisoft has just posted a blog post for Assassin's Creed Shadows Parkour System Overview. So let's see what they have in store for us here. As you guys can see right here, Ubisoft released the new input mapping controls, and I guess we can go ahead and do a quick deep dive into that kind of stuff. So pretty much right off the bat, we already kind of did assume that it was going to be mainly the same controls as Assassin's Creed Origins all the way up until Valhalla to Mirage. We can see here though that there are some abilities that are unique to Naoe and also others that are unique to Yasuke. So obviously one of the things that they have been pushing for is to really create that diversification between the class setups. Assassin's Creed Syndicate was the very first game for this specific Ubisoft studio, and then their second game was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this being their third one. They've been really obsessed with trying to like force into an Assassin's Creed game the whole two protagonist mechanic. First, they were obsessed with the idea that the two protagonists had to be siblings, right? So it was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you had Jacob Frye and Evie Frye, obviously they were twins. You go to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you have Cassandra, and then you also have her brother. And now, with Assassin's Creed Shadows, they're not siblings, but Naoe is the assassin's counterpart of the game, while Yasuke tends to be the more combat heavy, which is actually what they tried to do back with AC Syndicate, except that in that game, I guess they were restricted by the animations that were already preset with Assassin's Creed Unity, because that game was literally built off of Unity pretty much, as have been almost every single one of the games since then. However, the difference is that Assassin's Creed Syndicate had like 1 year difference from Unity. Like that was back when Ubisoft was releasing Assassin's Creed games on a yearly basis. It was actually every single year from 2009 up until 2015, they were pumping out AC games every single year. And it wasn't until 2016 where we got the first break, even though we did technically get the Ezio collection, and then in 2017 we made a comeback with AC Origins. Then 2018 we thought we were back on it with AC Odyssey, but then it wasn't until 2020 where we got AC Valhalla, and then we got AC Mirage, I believe in 2022 or 2023 if I'm not mistaken. Now here, we can see that the controls are, while mainly the same, it does seem like they are going to be emphasizing a lot more of that differentiation between Naoe and Yasuke. So obviously, Ego Vision is something reserved for Naoe, which is already something that I feel kind of serves a little bit against them, because if people just wanted to play a combat game set in feudal Japan that was not related to Assassin's Creed, you just go play Ghost of Tsushima. But if you want to play an Assassin's Creed game, you're also doing it for the lore aspects of the game. You're doing it for the Ego Vision. You're doing it because there's that triple helix, and you have the Isu DNA, and you have that all that rich lore that comes with the franchise. And, you know, you have like the Assassin's Order, you have the Templar Order, which is finally going to be a thing again. They're finally called their actual names again. They haven't been called Assassins and Templars in such a long time. It's actually been kind of baffling. I feel like we've had more games with them not being called Assassins and Templars than we have them being called Assassins and Templars. Obviously, that's not true, but you know what? That's what it feels like, because the games take a lot longer to make nowadays, and there's just a bigger gap overall. So moving on, we have the Parkour Essentials. You guys can see right here that we are bringing back Parkour Up. So Parkour Ups, for those of you guys who do not know, is a mechanic where you press a button while you're running, and then that already activates the character to get ready to clamber onto the nearest object, or whichever object they are currently facing, wherever the analog directional stick is pointing. It seems right here, though, that both Naoi and also Yasuke are going to be able to do Parkour Up. Now, it says right here, and I quote, "Each character has their own capabilities in parkour, although Naoi can always jump further and reach higher than Yasuke, who is generally slower when navigating rooftops." So, that already confirms that both of them will be able to go ahead and do parkour. However, do expect Naoi to be the one to be doing all the acrobatic. In other words, a lot of people are going to be playing as Naoi, because we don't play Assassin's Creed games just for the combat mechanics. You play Assassin's Creed games, which is a stealth franchise, to play as a stealthy character. And if you have Naoi being the only one that features a lot of these rich, stealthy additions, the only way you're going to get people to play as Yasuke is if the missions literally only, like, allow you to play as that one character for that one mission, which again harkens back to what they did in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where you had Evie-specific missions and you had Jacob-specific missions. Now, they're also going to be bringing back the recovery roll, as we can see right here. Recovery roll, for those of you guys who do not know, was something that was introduced. I wasn't really introduced as like a feature per se. It was more so something that the character would automatically do if they were on a height that was higher than normal, but not high enough to create some fall damage. So then the character would just play that rolling animation. However, in Assassin's Creed Unity, they went ahead and made it manual by making it an actual feature you had to unlock. And by pressing B just before you hit the ground, you would minimize the amount of damage you would take by performing this roll. It seems right here, it says, to compensate for any high-profile jumps that would put you in danger, you can trigger the Eigen recovery roll by pressing the dodge parkour down button, in other words B, when landing from great heights. So it seems like it's going to be functioning the exact same way as it did in Assassin's Creed Unity, where you have to go ahead and manually activate it, and then you perform the recovery roll. Now, parkour down is another one that's going to be returning. This one was introduced in Assassin's Creed Unity. Prior to AC Unity, the only way you would be able to actually go ahead and parkour down was by manually going up to a ledge and then pressing B, mantling that ledge, and then you would have to go ahead and just, with the analog stick, make your way down the wall, which obviously was a lot slower, so people who would honestly just either take the hit by the fall damage with the jump, or they would go ahead and grip the ledge and then drop and then grip the ledge again and then keep dropping again. But that was obviously a more risky maneuver. Parkour down was a real quality of life improvement introduced in Unity, which made it so that automatically the game would look for the fastest and most efficient way for you to get down of a structure when there is no bale of hay that you could go ahead and leap of faith onto. So right now, it seems like it's the same way as Assassin's Creed Unity. Drop down versus climb down. Obviously, that's what we were talking about, how they were the classic ways to climb down and drop down and all that stuff. Sprint mechanics. Naoi is the fastest assassin to date on her feet, so naturally, again, Yasuke needs a little bit more runway to get to cruise speed. It's to be expected. Again, why even bother having him be an actual protagonist in the game without having him have the Assassin's Creed abilities? You could have just left him as a main character, but just had Naoi as the main protagonist of the game, and then just had Yasuke be like one of the characters that you interact with. Because if you're gonna have an Assassin's Creed game, and then introduce a character inside AC game, and then strip away the aspects of what makes an AC game an AC game, then why are you even playing as that character in an Assassin's Creed game? It just doesn't make any sense. The automated passover. While sprinting, Naoi gains the ability to perform automated passover, quick acrobatic moves, allowing her to literally pass over the small objects listed. In other words, you're just going to be jumping over those objects. We've seen that before, as far back as Assassin's Creed 3. Connor, Edward Kenway did it all the time. Automated shoulder tackle. So this is one of those instances where I feel like Naoi's going to have the passover and Yasuke's going to have the shoulder tackle, because he's obviously a more beefy character. Never to be outdone, a sprinting Yasuke has the ability to automatically shoulder bash his way through any destructible objects which would normally block Naoi. So obviously, yes, like we were saying, sprinting versus stances. Both characters can change stances while in full sprint. Switching to crouch stance will cause the character to perform a sneeze slide. So this was introduced all the way in Valhalla. Honestly, it's a feature that I wish Assassin's Creed Origins even had. I was actually a little bit surprised. Towards the mid 2010s, I feel like every single game was starting to add sliding into their mechanics, and Assassin's Creed was a little bit late to the party, coming in 2020, but they finally added it in with the slide to get to cover and crouch, and honestly, it's just been a really good experience. The grappling hook, they say it's like Ghost of Tsushima, but it's a manual grappling hook, which means that you're gonna have to go ahead and actually control it even after you go ahead and grip something with the hook. It seems that it can also be used in the assassinations here, so that's very interesting as well. Vertical ascent, that's obviously with the grappling hook. You shoot that bad boy up, you start grappling up the rope, and then you can also swing on it, which is the next feature. Mode switching, which seems that you are dangling from a grapple point. Players can toggle between vertical ascent and hook swing. So in other words, it's kind of like Tomb Raider in that regard, and also pretty much any game that features a grappling hook, aside from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where basically if you grapple onto a point, you can choose whether you want to go up the rope or down the rope, or if you want to go ahead and just swing on the rope. Wall run grappling hook. So this one is one that I have heard. This one just takes me all the way back to Tomb Raider Anniversary, Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Underworld. I also played a lot of Tomb Raider growing up. I grew up with the Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld trilogy, and grappling hook and wall running grappling hook specifically was something that was very prominent in those games. Advanced parkour moves. So this is what I wanted to get into, the meat and potatoes. For the first time in an Assassin's Creed game, you can actually dodge and have that perform as a part of an Assassin's Creed parkour move. In certain titles, you would only be able to dodge if you were in combat. In other titles where you could dodge in the free roam, you would be able to dodge, but the game would give you limitations because it would assume that you were either in combat or trying to get in combat, so it wouldn't really let you do much with the dodge. Like, it wouldn't let you jump off of a ledge with the dodge or anything like that. Like, you couldn't play as Bayek, scurry off of a ledge, and then drop down to the next level. It would just keep you, and it would have that invisible wall there so that you couldn't actually jump off of the ledge. Now, in this game, it seems like what they're doing is that you can actually dodge as an AoE, and she does like a flip, and you can actually incorporate that into your parkour, which is actually really interesting because it lets you bring in more tactics, you know, if you want to have it be more flashy, kind of like Unity in a way. I'm not saying that that's exactly what this is going to be, but this definitely does open the door to have more expressive parkour, which I think is pretty cool as well. Backward dodge also looks super cool as well. There are going to be unclimbable surfaces. Obviously, this is something that when Assassin's Creed Origins, which was the first in the RPG genre to release for Assassin's Creed, it introduced the aspect that Bayek could climb absolutely anything and everything in the game world, right? So in ancient Egypt, nothing was off limits. If there was a surface, and even if you didn't see a crack or crevice, Bayek was gonna find a way somehow to grip onto that and then keep climbing up, right? It seems like that is something that they kept on moving on forward with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, arguably Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and AC Mirage. They really started emphasizing that there were some surfaces that you just could not be able to climb over, and it looks like that's gonna be returning yet again with Assassin's Creed Shadows. So all in all, these changes really are interesting because they try to harken back to a time of Assassin's Creed before all this RPG nonsense. Well, arguably nonsense, you know, it depends on how you look at it, right? Because I actually do enjoy some of those games as well, but it's trying to go ahead and be a little bit of a combination of both classic Assassin's Creed and what the Assassin's Creed genre has become. Obviously, moving forward, Assassin's Creed has promised that they are going to be doing RPG and their more traditional linear game style, as well as incorporating new styles of the games with every other release, and this is going to be something very interesting to see. Ladies and gentlemen, if Assassin's Creed Shadows does not perform how it needs to, there might not be any other big titles for Assassin's Creed coming out in the near future. If Ubisoft does not actually justify this title's existence and recover a lot of their financial gains, then we might see ourselves in a situation where most of their titles in the future might either be put on hold or maybe canceled indefinitely until some other studio comes along and picks them back up if Ubisoft actually does end up selling out their shares to Tencent. It is kind of hard to say, too early to call, but all I can say is that I am a little bit excited to cautiously check out the brand new gameplay for this game as soon as it releases. If the game can perform well, I obviously don't want the game to flop. I'm a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, but if it can do well, then I think that bodes well for the kind of attention that Ubisoft is going to be paying to their consumers in the future. Because these are features that we've been asking as a fan base as far back as 2018 that have kind of just gone by the wayside until now, where it seems like when they finally have their back against the wall, they have no choice but to actually start listening to their fans. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and drop a like button, drop a dislike. If you guys did not enjoy it at all, please let me know exactly what it is you guys think about all this whole situation, and hopefully you guys have a great one, because I will see you guys all in the next video. Everyone, peace out.